is power, more so today than ever before.
We've missed the idea of what education is all about. Too many kids are floating, 50, 60, 70%, who knows what that percentage is. When I walk into a classroom, I can expect the students to be 1 or 2 or 3 years behind where they were, say, 20 years ago.
I think the best investment that our country can make for the future is in the education of our people.
I don't know that schools can meet all of these children's needs. For many of these children, by the time they get to school, it's already too late.
The United States will not only reverse its decline in College Board scores, we will raise verbal and math scores at least 50 points and do it within the next decade.
You're basically told this is what you must teach. If the student cannot adapt to this system, then we lose the student.
We've got to do better. We must be #1 in education, and I will be the education president.
America's schools, pass or fail. Tonight on the Brokaw Report. Here is Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. If there is any one issue on which we all agree, it is that public education in this country is failing, and its failure is putting this country's future in jeopardy. Students are way behind grade level. Their test scores are deplorable, and they won't be ready to fill the jobs of the 1990s. What's wrong? Well, first, in the past, when we talked about universal education, really we were talking about universal education for middle-class, motivated, well-prepared children. Children who could learn in an educational system designed the way Henry Ford built cars, a production line. The world has changed, but that system has not. Back then, most families were intact. Most children came to school ready to learn. No more.
It's not going to be easy. Well, 16. Our next one.
At the Elwood School in Huntington, New York, children learn through play. Kindergarten teacher Janet Macro is an expert at making a game of learning, but it's getting harder every year. She sees fewer and fewer children coming to school with the skills necessary to learn.
David will recite nursery rhymes, and more than 50 or 60% of the class will look at you with, what? Never heard of that. What do you mean, Little Miss Muffet? Start at the top. No, the top. Good girl. Very nice.
Not so long ago, children starting kindergarten had a vocabulary of 4,000 words.
Good.
Now, many start with only about a fourth of that. At home, no one is talking to them or reading to them.
All right, let's go wipe up.
Before she can start teaching, Janet Macro has to figure out just how much each child knows.
Does anyone know the sound that D makes?
And 1 out of 5 of these children just doesn't understand.
When the words stand up, come, follow me. Any simple commands that you can train your dog to do are not being responded to by children. Then you wait and you see if it really was lack of understanding, lack of readiness.
Readiness involves more than just language skills. School principal Dr. Alan Van says a child needs social, emotional, and physical nurturing to be prepared to learn.
I don't know that schools can meet all of these children's needs. For example, this boy came in and was complaining of a stomachache, and I said, "When did you eat last?" And he said, "I had lunch yesterday." And I got half a bagel with cream cheese. I brought it into him. He ate his half a bagel. There went the stomachache. The child was fine.
It's being mommy. It's being daddy. Just stay. Okay. It's being psychologist, social worker, nurse. All right. Bye-bye.
I think that for many of these children, by the time they get to school, it's already too late.
When we come back, the first step, making sure that children are ready to learn.
Get in line, stay in step, or maybe you'd rather go your own way, in which case, check out the all-new 93 626 ES from the new Mazda, the company that's put a twist on everything from luxury cars to roadsters. Now we've done the same to sedans, with a V6, an airbag, and ABS. Introducing the all-new Mazda 626.
Mazda, it just feels right. I've seen some messes you wouldn't believe.
Jim's Diner counts on 409's spray cleaner every day.
It's proof that adults play with their food.
Because nothing works harder than 409 on tough grease and dirt.
You name it, it's cleaned it.
Formula 409 cleans up anything you can dish out.
Dad, you're gonna be late for work.
And you're not to leave this house without breakfast.
Oh, and who does that sound like?
Give your family all the nutrition of a complete meal with Carnation Instant Breakfast. Because life doesn't stop for breakfast.
It's a special Sunday, Unsolved Mysteries, A Loving Couple, Murdered and Robbed. This new update shows you the killer our viewers helped bring to justice. A special Sunday, Unsolved Mysteries. Then, eyewitness a death-defying rescue. They risked their own lives for a stranger who lives to tell about it. Eyewitness video following a special Sunday, Unsolved Mysteries beginning at 7 NBC Sunday.
Tonight, we want to show you educational programs that work. The first step is readiness, getting children ready for school. It can't be taken for granted, particularly these days when in many families, both parents work full-time, and many are unable for one reason or another to help prepare their children. Head Start was designed to get children ready for school, but it has never been fully funded. And Head Start, after all, is only a start. It doesn't help older children. It doesn't help parents. Enter the School of the 21st Century, brought to you by the same people who invented Head Start. We found one called The Center in Leadville, Colorado. It's 5:30 in the morning.
First one here.
And the center is open.
Come, honey. Say bye, Mom. See ya.
It's quiet now, but it won't be for long.
Hey, boys and girls, what's our letter this week? H. Can you make
The center is a center of activity, learning, playing, and support for the whole Leadville, Colorado community.
Smell good? Oh, no, eat it. Don't eat it. Tastes bad.
The center opens its doors to 700 children and their families, toddlers and preschoolers, other children from 6 to 16 before and after school.
And Miss Patty, Miss Deb are going to get you some activities. This is one that you're going to have to help me with.
Deb Berry has been a preschool teacher at the center since it began 4 years ago.
One day, Ned got a letter.
A former first-grade teacher from Dallas, Miss Deb, as she's known, saw how many children are on a course for failure when they start school.
When I first started school, it was everybody sat in a desk, sit on your bottoms, and by the end of the year, you're going to be able to read through this book.
When?
If you didn't meet that goal, you weren't successful. You were a failure, weren't you?
Birthday.
The center takes well-adjusted children and gives them an opportunity to improve their skills. It also takes at-risk children and their families, improving their lives and easing them into the public school system.
Dawn!
3.5-year-old Dawn Crippen is new to Miss Deb's class and to school.
Let's go into the room, Dawn.
When Dawn was 6 months old, she saw her mother kill herself. Dawn was shattered.
Your daddy got your coat for you?
Yeah.
I like it.
Doctors say that trauma slowed her physical, educational, and emotional development.
Pink?
There's got to be some kind of help, some way to get her up with her peers so she has a chance in life.
To make sure Dawn has a chance, the center's teachers, counselors, and health therapists meet with her father down the hall from Dawn's classroom.
But also about some aggressive behavior that we're a little bit concerned about.
She is aggressive, but she comes from a military and up here with miners and bikers.
Sure.
That is people I associate with, and that's what she sees.
There are a few concerns I have as far as some speech problems.
She often cuts off the sounds that are at the beginning or at the end of words.
The way she moves, all the parts of her body aren't really working smoothly together just yet.
Whoops.
A health plan is worked out.
We'll make sure that she gets to the health department. We're going to go see the nurse. Remember you said your ears hurt?
Follow the light with your eyes. Very good. They're both a little bit red, but I don't think so.
No? Okay. We'll just watch her.
You sure have nice teeth.
This is not special treatment. The center does this for all kids.
Now we're going to tickle the inside of your teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm?
falling down.
Team teaching and team therapy.
The nice thing is that everybody's going to come to her.
She has a button. There's a star on it. Star. Right.
Putting scissors in her hand was something new.
What are these that I'm holding? What are these? Scissors, that's right.
Just being a part of this classroom and seeing what's expected of the other children, then she has picked up in 2 weeks. It's just incredible, the amount.
And the center helps Dawn's father, Jim Crippen, as well. He's a widowed Vietnam veteran living on disability benefits and raising a daughter alone.
Hold on, be careful. I don't know how to explain about her mother's death.
Does it smell good?
No, I feel inadequate in what I do for my daughter.
I'll pick you up.
The center sets up counseling at the local mental health department.
Don, what do you think about our new home?
And finds an affordable apartment.
You'll be located in 19.
They helped me out, took me around to all the different places in town that could give me assistance, stayed on me, made me do it. So everywhere I look, I see advantages in getting Daddy stable for Dawn. The better they can get me, the better she's going to be in school.
The cost for all of this to Dawn and to her father, well, for them, it's free. The center gets half of its $600,000 annual budget from private contributions and government Head Start money. The rest from tuition, not from local property taxes. Does it work? Long-term studies of programs like this show children stay in school longer, achieve higher grades, and are more likely to find jobs than children who didn't have special help.
Open your door, baby.
Kara Martinez is a normal, healthy 4-year-old.
Kara.
Still, she and her mother, Kim, need the center.
As a single mother, the center just provides so much for her and for me.
Kim works long days, weekends, and holidays as a housekeeper at a Colorado ski resort.
I was fairly concerned about the hours she would be spending here. It'd be 10+ hours.
But she feels lucky.
Smells like shaving cream.
Because of the center sliding scale fees, Kara can be part of Miss Deb's class and the day school activities for only 50 cents an hour.
About what it looks like.
And Kara won't miss out on preparation for kindergarten.
Kara and I have been working on some letters in her name, and she's showing me how to do it. And last week you read a book, and learning how to look at our letters and our numbers, and that's part of learning how to read, isn't it, Kara?
I feel real good about her chances of success.
I think what the center's doing now hopefully will have the long-term effect of her wanting to stay in school and wanting to get an education.
Let's try this.
And not make the same mistakes I did.
Kim finished only 1 year of high school. Now she's gone back to school at night to get her high school diploma at the center.
So it needs 1,100 more.
You did it again.
Blouse, blue. It's blue. Yes, blue.
Other parents improve their life skills at the center. They learn English.
Think about
and they
things
learn to
your
communicate with their children.
Can you think of things that you might do to discourage your child?
For every $1 you spend at the preschool level, you save $6 later. So I think it's a dollar that's well spent.
Getting children like Dawn Crippen ready for school could wind up saving Colorado millions of dollars in remedial schooling and health services.
That's what we're able to do, is to prevent the problems instead of having to intervene later.
And Dawn's chances of being saved have improved as well. She's healthy, happy, and ready to learn.
Make them feel good about themselves and feel successful. So when they get to kindergarten, they'll know that they're going to succeed. There's not going to be any question about it, because they can do it.
Fact, Head Start costs about $3,400 a child. This center spends an average of $1,000 a child. Another fact, the average yearly cost for a child in juvenile prison is almost $33,000. Next, teachers change the rules and ignore those old school bells.
I could never go back to having my day broken into 45-minute segments with bells ringing. It's insane.
What's most important to you?
My wife. We've been married for 31 years.
32.
Definitely these guys.
most important? Jack, of course.
My granddaughter, Susan.
The new Ford Crown Victoria now offers anti-lock brakes with traction assist and dual airbags. Because shouldn't your car know what's important to you?
Have you driven a Ford lately?
Hi, it's code for 148 not seen. Have you followed her not seen? 81 clear. 8814 clear. You two is the third
Of all the things around your house that need batteries, there's one thing that needs a good, fresh battery most of all. See your Allstate agent for a free home fire safety brochure. And please, check the battery in your smoke detector often.
These are not ordinary crimes. This is a stalker. These are not ordinary criminals.
Nobody moves, nobody dies.
It takes an extraordinary organization to take them down.
Secret Service, drop it!
For the first time ever, real-life dramas inspired by actual cases from the files of America's most elite organization. Secret Service, premiering Sunday at 7 after the Olympics on NBC. They do more than protect the president.
What do black gangs and the KKK have in common? They kill black people. That's what this commercial claims. Will it stop the violence? The answer on NBC Nightly News.
Oprah Winfrey hosts the most important television program you'll see all year.
Please help me to help stop child abuse.
Scared Silent, NBC Friday.
Teachers are the key to everything in education. And what discourages and frustrates good teachers more than anything else is bureaucracy. Standardized tests and lesson plans and school bells, rigid rules and the herd approach. Is this a school system or a probation program?
Final quiz number 3. You will have only this class period to do it. Everybody ready? On your mark, get set, go.
At Austin High School in Houston, the average freshman class has 1,200 students. By senior year, only 400 remain.
When the government tells the workers they cannot go on strike, does anybody...
Deborah Savage teaches social studies at Austin.
Injunction. I would love to be able to spend more focused time. Rather than 50 minutes a day, spend 2 hours, 3 hours. Our bell schedule and the number of minutes we must spend on each period are not really determined by the school or the school district. They're determined by the state of Texas. Is that right? Yes. Every school in Texas is supposed to be teaching what are called the essential elements of that content area. You're basically told this is what you must teach. You can add to it, that's fine, but you can't ignore it. All right, 1/2 homework, 1/4 notebook, 1/4 test.
Standardized tests are also a problem. Texas has made some revisions, but in a school where the student body is 96% Hispanic, difficulties remain.
Okay, everybody, say it. Come on. Let's go. If the student cannot adapt to this system, then we lose the student. I'm not sure that our dropout rate can be blamed totally on the school and its structure, but I think that's one factor that we have to look at very carefully.
Few cities have had more problems with high school dropouts and subpar academic performances than Philadelphia. 3 years ago, Philadelphia threw out the book. No more hard-headed rules from the Board of Education downtown. They didn't work. Philadelphia decided to let the schools, the principals, the teachers, and the parents create high schools that fit the students. Philadelphia is using a little bit of everything now, including team teaching, the Coalition of Essential Schools program. It's new, it's different, and it's working in a place where schools have not worked for a long time.
He was a hero to most, and his rep was booming.
And the frequency is 256. Multiplication of binomials.
I heard these say even now.
When it was their world that took center stage, and I stood back and I observed and I watched, I became the learner and they became the teacher.
Integers, exponents, factoring.
KT,
Green gland.
Nuclear disarmament.
Where they were used to sitting in neat rows, used to filling out worksheets, playing the if I don't cause you any problems, you'll leave me alone game. We force them to talk to each other. We force them to talk to the teachers. We force them to take information and do something with it.
Excuse me for a mistake.
Why
were we being treated this way.
The problem is like connected either to race or culture.
Oh, I know.
They know exactly what's happening, and they're very real, and they're very honest, and if you ask them, they'll tell you, and if you're smart, you listen.
I say this with some sort of discomfort because I think of how the U.S. government.
Listening is what started serious educational reform at Simon Gratz High School. Teachers listening to students.
I'll share it with you a little later.
All right,
administrators listening to teachers.
We were told, you have an idea? Develop a proposal, we'll see if it flies.
We basically brainstormed all our ideas.
And I said, well, what do you want to do?
What Marcia Pincus, Bob Feccio, and Natalie Hiller did was recruit 6 colleagues, select 250 10th, 11th, and 12th graders of all ability levels, and create Crossroads, their school within a school.
Get here on time.
Unable to lower their class size, they at least cut down the overall number of students they work with.
Start upstairs, please.
These teachers see only these students for 3 years of high school.
My group inside, I'm taking roll.
Hi, Miss Hiller.
You keep the numbers manageable because a piece of what you have to do is personalize yourself with your students, and you have to develop some kind of relationship.
See you later. You are supposed to be up with me. Oh, I am.
Crossroads teachers not only decide how to teach, but they decide what to teach.
The nuclear disarmament.
Bob Feccio has taught English for 18 years.
I'm in the classroom, and the decisions begin in that classroom. It's teachers working with students. It's the two working together. Please get into groups of 4 or 5.
Group work and projects such as this one based on the novel Hiroshima by John Hersey. Engage students and get them to think.
You're going to develop a proposal for a film. With the group work, I have a much better sense of who's involved and who isn't.
You don't do no planning here. You must work. He pushes you, and that's good.
You end up learning more than instead of rushing through a whole bunch of work and not learning anything at all.
Does the lowest common denominator drive the pace of the learning?
No. What usually drives the group now particularly are the students who want the learning, and they start putting pressure on the students who are not functioning. We work at really using our classes as places of inquiry, where questions get asked, tough questions, that don't have real easy answers.
What is the essential question?
How do people, events, and conditions influence change? And it's been a wonderful question because it's been a question that could work in all of the subject areas.
So I want you to think in terms of this film as a film that could create change.
In all Crossroads classes, teachers relate their subject to the idea of change.
How would you do that?
Students begin to see how English relates to history, how math relates to science, and how it all relates to their lives.
They love radios.
Right here.
They suddenly forget that what they're talking about is physics, or that we're even doing sound waves. It's those kind of links that you're always trying to get them to connect with. And suddenly it becomes very important for them to understand it and know it.
Understanding and project work take time, so each Crossroads class is 90 minutes long.
Yes, I am hearing the right thing, right? Yeah.
The student might have physics and social studies and Spanish one day,
No, wait.
algebra, computers, and English the next.
The stage is yours.
Did you run out of water again?
I had to wash some clothes for your father.
Ma, I need water. I have to take a bath.
No, Mr. C.
In 90 minutes, Marcia Pincus's English class can perform and discuss scenes from 5 contemporary plays about people affected by change.
Thanks for the help, Javier.
I could never go back to having my day broken into 45-minute segments with bells ringing. It's insane. I cannot believe that I taught like that for 17 years. Can we do without the break and just go ahead and do what we have to do?
When the bell rings,
We try to ignore it.
Do you really laugh?
But we're part of the larger high school.
I think it's a bloody good joke.
Over there, they're changing class.
To hurt him. You'll also hurt yourself. And if he had done it to you, Willie, me,
still, Marcia worries that while working on projects in depth,
then I want to hit him.
students don't cover as much material.
There's nagging doubts. Where are those worksheets and should I bring them out? Or where are the drills? Even though for years I knew that they really didn't help, but look what this child has learned.
By listening to others in the class.
Look how this child has grown.
She brings out the you.
We must be on the right track.
You just...
Other issues.
The teachers meet weekly to talk about the program and the students.
Get that straightened out, Sydney?
Yes, sir, Mr. Pachoy.
Sydney.
Did Sydney not do it in English class?
I forgot.
Are we saying that he now has a 0?
I mean, it was sitting in my book bag.
He said, oh, I didn't know you wanted it.
Don't forget about important things.
Should I encourage him to do it?
You don't make promises you can't keep.
Or are we saying that the deadline is long since passed?
You can't hold your hand anymore.
Maybe we should give him a chance.
I wouldn't be absolutely against doing that for him this time.
Bye, Sydney.
This is the thorax part right here.
Biology teacher Phil Hand is nearing retirement. He's worked harder these past 2 years than he did the past 20, but he's happier.
Anytime you try to do a better job, you're going to do more work.
That includes reaching out to the community, an important part of creating a school within Simon Gratz High School. Until now, parents didn't get involved. Attendance was low, the dropout rate high. School could hardly compete with the street life of some of North Philadelphia's toughest neighborhoods.
You learn things sometimes you wish you didn't know. They could not tell you about the rape. They could not tell you about the family problems. They could not tell you about the alcoholism, but they do.
It's like a family atmosphere. The teachers really show that they care.
Working mother Beverly Bird serves on the school council and spends her evenings phoning other parents to tell them about school projects. Her kids, Carl and Nadine Jones, are both honor roll students in Crossroads.
I really didn't want them to go to Gratz because I know I went there and you could sit in the class and clown around and the teachers wouldn't care whether you got the work or not. But these teachers expect the best out of these students because they expect them to make it in life. And only the best will do.
Before Crossroads, what did you want to do?
Just get out of high school. Try to pick up a job somewhere.
Now you want to own the store?
Yeah. Now I want to be the boss.
Attendance has improved 15% in the first 2 years of the program.
Gentlemen, ladies.
More students are passing their major subjects. More students are staying in school to graduation.
Agreed to show up.
But standardized test scores show little improvement.
We think he's wise, so here's a couple of reasons why.
The teachers say these tests may not be a sufficient measure of a student from this program.
I'm not advocating doing away with standardized tests and objective tests. Let's just keep them in their place and keep it in perspective as just one indicator of what a student is capable of doing.
At Crossroads, instead of a test, the senior final is a project. They write a position paper.
I like the process.
And defend it before a panel of 2 teachers, a parent, and an 11th grader.
I thought Paul Robeson was treated unfairly.
They evaluate a portfolio of their work.
Perfect example of how people, events, and conditions can affect you and your work.
He's saying he acted.
And they present a creative piece.
And taboo in 1922, but socially he was illegit.
But it is important as well, is it not, to have a foundation, if you will, of facts. And are they getting that out of this program, or are they just getting learning tools?
Is there a knowledge base? Is there actual information that they're learning? Of course.
But you still have to compete, if you're a high school graduate, with students who have gotten coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And can your students compete?
Yes. They can compete because they know what to do with that information.
Come into the small circle.
You got to decide which way you're going to go.
All together. Talk about it.
After high school, what happens for you?
Oh, I go to Swarthmore College.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
And 3 years ago, did you think you would be going to college?
I had no idea that I had that much potential inside of me.
That's very exciting.
And it ended up that this program showed me.
The doors have been opened.
And you start to realize that there is so much more that's possible.
Thank you. I enjoyed you very, very much today.
Fact, more than a third of high school students are either below grade level or have dropped out. And among blacks and Hispanics in the school system, half drop out. When we come back, getting ready for the 21st century.
This style is unpopular. This style is abrasive. This style helps create a school where teachers can teach.
Coming home, coming back to the things that comfort you when nothing else will do. Stove first, nothing comes closer to home.
Home-style beef pot roast with oven-browned potatoes. Fried chicken breast with real whipped potatoes. All your favorite home-cooked meals.
Stouffer, nothing comes closer to home.
Pure milk.
Fresh milk. Smooth and wet, creamy, cool, luscious fruit. Fresh milk. Sweet and dry. Luscious fruit. Blended by Dana.
Experience a creamy blended yogurt as only Dannon can do it. Fat-free, no artificial anything, just pure Dannon. Dannon blended yogurt.
America's schools, pass or fail, will continue.
Next week on Today, we'll meet television's newest Emmy winners.
Also, we'll talk with Oprah Winfrey about her television special on child abuse, plus Olympic gold medalist Jennifer Capriati.
Also, two great stars of stage and screen, Jason Robards and Lily Tomlin, in their latest movies. All that and more. Join us all next week on Today.
Coming up on the news tonight, the might of the military descends on South Florida to help in the hurricane relief effort. This is the number of military workers assigned to the ravaged area is doubled. The Delaware Valley pitches in to help the hurricane victims, and KYW3 is part of that effort. Plus, the sounds of the 70s down on the farm. It's the Philadelphia Folk Festival. We'll take you there on the news tonight at 11.
Is there a best time to buy a new Olds?
Sure, it's like buying clothes at the end of the season. That's why I'm shopping for my 88 Royale now.
They gotta make room for the 93s. The deal I got, I almost feel guilty. Almost.
We priced it in March, priced it now.
Yeah, and we're going to Florida with the savings.
I got 3.9% financing for 48 months. That's around $2,000 more I'm saving.
I even got a $1,500 factory rebate on the new Achieva, and I learned all about it from the free videotape I got by calling 1-800-234-OLDS.
Announcing the 50th anniversary collector's video of Casablanca.
Played once then.
1998 or less after $5 mail-in rebate with purchase of Taster's Choice.
I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Talk education, and inevitably the comparison with Japan comes up. Japan, our greatest economic competitor, where children immerse themselves in learning. American youngsters, on the other hand, spend only about 9% of their time on schoolwork. This school year is still designed as if they have to harvest crops in the summertime. Last year, we came in 13th out of 15 countries in science scores, behind Taiwan, Italy, and Scotland. In math, our students were 14 out of 15, behind Hungary, Slovenia, and Spain. And although American parents agree that schools in general are in trouble, for the most part, they insist their children's schools are doing just fine.
Page 106, and you might want to take out some paper for notes. Teaching has not changed notably in the 24 years that I have been teaching. Okay, while I'm taking roll, take out your characteristics of tragedy if you've not. Somewhere along the line, we've missed the idea or the vision of what education is all about. What's the difference between the styles of writing? The whole system is outdated. You want to think on that one for a minute?
Deanna Woods teaches English at Woodrow Wilson High School in Portland, Oregon. Her school is typical of a large, traditional high school.
An example of a school that is doing the best we'd ever hope such a school would do. The only problem is it's just not doing enough for the 21st century.
The kind of school where administrators, teachers, and parents are satisfied that children are getting a good education.
Would you say that society was closing in on Brutus?
Where traditional measures of SAT scores and dropout rates indicate students seem to be doing well.
So,
but Deanna Woods sees beyond the traditional measures.
10 cheats on him. Too many kids are floating. 50, 60, 70%, who knows what that percentage is. When I walk into a classroom, I can expect the students to be 1 or 2 or 3 years behind where they were, say, 20 years ago.
Woods worries about their ability to compete in the marketplace once students leave here.
When I was talking with a local businessman, he made a comment that our students come in fine at entry level. The problem is that they're not promotable. That means that the only way they can get promotable students or promotable workers is to import them from places like Britain or Germany. Existentialism, have you ever heard that? We are graduating them at a functional level, but functional is no longer enough. You're talking there. And in the society we're going into in the 21st century, that's going to be disastrous.
How can we get our children ready for the 21st century? The Bush administration is talking about 500 experimental new American schools. It wants cash vouchers for parents to use in selecting their children's schools, public or private. Private investors are planning a system of computerized dream schools. Whatever the system, for schools to work, you need bold leadership and imaginative teachers. Take magnet schools. Now, a lot of cities have magnets. Some of them work and some of them don't. And a few soar above the others.
I wake up at 5 o'clock and I get ready for school and go to my bus stop at 6:37.
I look forward to my days. I come in here singing.
Good morning.
I think Hamilton has things that a lot of parents want their kids to have.
It doesn't matter what the choice is, as long as they choose.
Jim Burke is the principal of Hamilton High School in Los Angeles.
Guys, let's go. You got to be in class.
The Hamilton complex is divided up into 3 schools. The original school, which is a traditional comprehensive high school. The Academy of Music, which is a magnet with the emphasis in the fine arts, particularly performing arts, and the humanities magnet.
At 32, he's the district's youngest principal.
Give me the hat. Give me the hat.
And for the past 2 years, the driving force behind its fastest growing school.
Give me the, who's the council? I'll give it to council.
If we took a snapshot of Hamilton 5 or 6 years ago, we would see a school that had a demoralized faculty, an enormous amount of flight, a student body of about 900 students, rumors of a campus that would be closing.
Drop these superior to teachers.
We look at the school now, a invigorated faculty that is constantly hiring new people.
You guys look great today.
A community that has bought back into the school, both minority and white, and a campus that represents every single spectrum that is contained in Los Angeles.
Bye, Mom.
Bye, Mom.
Carlos Perez leaves his apartment at 6:15 to walk to the bus stop.
If I had gone to my school, my home school, I probably would have gone into gang activity just because that's everybody in my neighborhood is practically a gamer.
The way magnet schools work in Los Angeles, any student can apply. It's random selection based on an ethnic breakdown, which is 40% white and 60% combined minorities.
The kids in my neighborhood don't really look towards working hard when they're young. You know, you have to have a certain commitment to take a bus every morning to school.
Good morning, Miss Hutchison.
The ride to school takes 45 minutes to an hour each way.
What I do is I isolate myself from what's going on outside of me.
And I got an A like no.
And then I just come to the good things that are happening here. I like music a lot. I found that it's like one of the things that's like deep within my being.
Originally designed to help desegregate, magnet schools draw students from beyond traditional neighborhood boundaries by offering a specialized curriculum. The similarities among magnets end there.
Have a good day.
All right.
The motivation level of the students is that they're there because they want to be there.
For Colin Felton, Hamilton is his neighborhood school. Although his parents could afford private school, Colin prefers Hamilton's humanities magnet.
Going to private school, I know that I'd find myself in a place where it'd be largely white, upper middle class, people who sort of sheltered lives. And that's not the real world.
Remember, we're looking at the montage technique of superimposing one.
The goal of the humanities magnet is to offer the strongest academic program possible with an emphasis on critical thinking, argumentation, the art of public speaking.
Rather than hit the mirror and shatter it, he hits the plane of the mirror and just keeps on going through.
And the next frame.
Students are also taught 5 basic themes of Western civilization.
In other words, supply side would be like an interpretation of how...
Greg Baton teaches social science.
Oh, maybe we shouldn't deal with supply side at all and just talk about the free market system.
It's more like a thinking skills.
how does one think and communicate and analyze complex things and come up with oftentimes complex answers.
Important thing is profit.
What students get is a clear sense of why they attend school, and that translates into better attendance, higher test scores, and motivation to learn.
How many of you agree that in our society, one of the basic values is the belief in social equality?
Sterling DeLone has been teaching for 15 years, but he came to the Music Academy only last year when he was lured by Burke's promises that Hamilton was something different.
Put into different categories.
When you have a motivated student body, it's sort of like having a word processor as opposed to a typewriter where you have to hunt and peck and use whiteout. It allows you to be more creative. When they respond to you, you just take the ball and run with it.
In the humanities magnet, public speaking is stressed. In the music magnet, the students tend to be performance-oriented. Christine Madsen teaches English in the Music Academy.
I guess being colored doesn't make me not like the same things other folks are like who are other races.
Not all the Music Academy students are going to become professionals at whatever their emphasis is, but they do want to perform, and they do have a strong support group from their peers. Their peers just love to watch each other perform, and so it's a great high, and their enthusiasm is contagious, and it makes my job a delight.
Although Music Academy students are required to take an extra class period every day, some magnet critics say the emphasis on music is frivolous. Burke insists it's just the bait to get them hooked.
70% of the students in the Academy of Music don't major in performing arts or fine arts in college, but for them it's a motivational tool to assist them to get into college. It's a reason to come every day. It's a reason to do better in the classes.
Boring!
If Hamilton is anything, it is not boring. And Burke is willing to make himself a target for students at the school fair. There are 103 magnet schools in the Los Angeles public school system, and approximately 5,000 nationwide. Not all of them work. Hamilton teachers point to strong leadership as an essential ingredient.
Jim Burke is the first principal the school has had since I've been here that has really given the feeling and message to the magnets, go for it.
Burke's brash style does draw critics. He's gotten rid of some teachers, changed other assignments, and made enemies.
This style is unpopular. This style is abrasive. This style angers colleagues. This style empowers teachers. This style brings in a lot of money. This style helps create a school where teachers can teach.
It cost the school district about $1 million a year more to run Hamilton than an ordinary school, and more than that to keep it running.
Everything in here, every piece of equipment, which totals about $300,000, is corporate paid for. The district paid for the room, carpeted the floor, painted the walls, put the lights on, and that's where it ended.
Have we got a deal for you?
Over the past 6 years, Burke has squeezed about $3.5 million from the corporate sector. Hustling a radio executive for money to build a new music building is the reality in a public school district that has cut the budget $1.2 billion over 3 years.
He's just a baby filled with a big old great coat naked of the ripcord every time a bullseye salesman.
The big production of the year,
Big breastplate, big
The Music Man.
He's a music man, and he sells clarinets to the kids in the town with a big trombone.
When I talk to a student who goes to a college, when I look at kids who found themselves here, I'm as proud of them as can be, and I will continue to be proud of that and flaunt it and be very excited about what goes on here.
The class of '92 has shown the strength and courage to create a better school.
98% of Hamilton Magnet students continue on to college.
Hamilton is stronger today than when
And by all existing measures, the magnet programs prepare them for a highly competitive future.
Hi, Brendan. Congratulations, man. Nobody measures where kids are.
Carlos.
Whether the student has taken their place in society as an adult that is able to provide support for themselves or a family if they have it.
Colin.
Is able to manipulate a highly complex and specialized society. You find measurements like that, you place them on a school like Hamilton, and we'll bet the whole budget on it.
Fact, American business spends as much as $6 billion a year on remedial education. Fact, fewer than 5% of American high school graduates are able to do high school level mathematics. When we come back, the experts take a look at the problem and the prospects.
The Brokaw Report, America's Schools Pass or Fail, sponsored in part by Nestle, makers of quality food products designed to meet your needs today and in the future. Nestle makes the very best.
In art, matters of taste are often subjective. But in life, good taste is well defined. Fancy Feast gourmet cat food. In the gold single-serving can. Exceptionally moist, uniquely delicious. For a gourmet taste to satisfy even the most discriminating connoisseurs. Fancy Feast. Good taste is easy to recognize.
Hey, Hannon! Lunch!
Hey, all right.
No! I mean, see what everybody wants. 2 cheeseburgers and quarter pounder with cheese!
Large fry?
Big back. Make it 2!
Got it, kid.
With McDonald's Extra Value Meals, you can order your favorite food by number. Served up fast, guaranteed. What you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
Hannon! Nice job. It's yours from now on.
So we're thinking of getting a new car. And well, you know what I'm thinking. She's talking safety and reliability. I'm thinking twin cam, 16 valve, mid-engine. Okay, so she's into driver's side airbags and room for 7. I want a low coefficient of drag. She finally gives in. And I get my way.
The 1992 Toyota Previa.
I guess I showed her.
She captured the Olympic gold. Now Jennifer Capriati defends her title at the Mazda Tennis Classic. Courts in session this weekend on NBC.
We have seen tonight there can be answers to America's education failures. But how do we get from occasional success stories to restored national pride in education? We want to talk about that tonight with Constance Clayton, the superintendent of the Philadelphia school system and a leader of a coalition of city school systems, big city school systems. Chester Finn, former Assistant Secretary of Education, a member of the design team on the Pay to Learn Edison project, private schools, and the man now charged in leading us out of the education wilderness, Secretary of Education, Lamar Alexander. Mr. Alexander, let's begin with Education 2000, which is the centerpiece of the Bush administration program. The critics say this is designed primarily for white bread suburban school systems. It's mostly rhetoric with goals that will be very hard to achieve and almost no money.
Well, the critics haven't been watching very closely. The goals are agreed on by the president and all the governors and most educators. America 2000 now has about 1,500 communities busily working toward the goals. Again, all the governors, almost every state. The president has increased federal spending for education faster than the states have. Head Start's up 127%. And the things that we saw on your program a little earlier are the kinds of things the president's encouraging. Break the mold schools, higher standards, different kinds of exams, deregulated schools, and schools and academic programs that families can choose.
Superintendent Clayton, Education 2000 going to solve the problems in Philadelphia?
No, Education 2000 is not going to solve the problems in Philadelphia unless we can have the kind of support from our federal government and state governments and city governments in terms of understanding and realizing how important it is to make a concrete investment in education and to help us replicate the kinds of programs, successful programs we saw today. Many institutions in this society has failed and continues to fail the young children. We must be advocates for our kids. We must believe, as we do in the Gratz Crossroads program and other similar programs across this country.
Doesn't she have a very valid point, Mr. Finn, that it goes well beyond the classroom, that you can't solve the problems in the classroom unless you begin to solve the societal problems that contribute to the failure of the schools?
Well, as you explained on the program, American kids spend a surprisingly small amount of their lives in school. And if we want to leverage the other parts of their lives, the parts that the schools are not in charge of, Either we've got to expand the reach of the school a whole lot, as that school in Leadville, Colorado is doing, or we've got to get to parents and neighborhoods and communities as well as school. You can do a lot in school, but you can't do the whole thing.
What about that, Secretary Alexander?
Well, learning is home, family, and school, and liberals and conservatives in this country can agree we don't want to dump all this on the school. But the point of your program tonight, which is the good point, which is American kids this fall are not going back to the same old school. The schools are beginning to change. And despite all of the responsibility we have outside of the classroom, unless we radically change the schools themselves in the way that they were doing in Philadelphia and Leadville and Hamilton, we'll never succeed.
Mr. Finn, Mr. Alexander, of course, is a great advocate of the voucher system in which parents can make a choice about schools. It began in your administration, that idea. Won't that just kill off the public school system as we know it? That those who can will go to the private schools, and those who really need the help will stay in the public school system, and it will collapse even more?
You know, every one of those good schools that you illustrated tonight, and they were terrific, involved a form of choice. Every one of those schools was a school that had come into existence because people willed it into existence and were participating in it voluntarily. They were public schools. Some of them had private elements, private funds or tuition, even though they were in public schools. I think there are going to be a lot of hybrid schools in America that have some of the traditional characteristics of public and some of the characteristics of private, and I think there's going to be a lot of choice.
I want to know, will the private schools accept my children, the children of this America, the minorities, the immigrants, the special needs children? I mean, is there going to be a requirement that there will be a level playing field?
Let's be real clear that the most exclusive schools in America today are public schools. They are in fancy suburbs like Beverly Hills and Great Neck, and they are theoretically public, but you can only go to them if you're rich, and usually if you're white.
What the president wants to do is give middle and low income families a $1,000 scholarship so they can spend it at any school those families feel best meets the needs of those child. He wants that money to go to public schools as well as private schools, but he does not want a policy in this country where only the rich have, and what the government says to the is, you go to that school, we know what's best for you.
What happens in Philadelphia if that occurs?
What happens in Philadelphia if that occurs is the money will be taken from us. We have carefully examined the legislation. It is silent on the funding source.
The president has proposed giving the families of Philadelphia $145 million new federal dollars, $1,000 to each student there.
What will it buy?
What it could buy is whatever the school systems in Philadelphia could do with that money to make it better. That money could be spent by the Crossroads program at the Simon Grants High School for whatever those teachers wanted to do. And you're doing a wonderful job in Philadelphia, and I believe that most of the money would be attracted to the public schools, but we shouldn't deny the opportunity for those children to go to other schools if they wish to, just because they're poor.
But we need more than articulated support. We need concrete evidence of dollars. It is not the sole answer.
I'm talking about $105 million new dollars to Philadelphia, and today Philadelphia gets about $90 million federal education dollars. You'd get $90 million plus $105 million more. That's a lot of money. That's enough money to help change every school in Philadelphia, particularly because you're doing so many of the things that ought to be done.
Mr. Finn, do you think that President Bush has done nearly enough in terms of making education a top priority for the kind of image that he gives to it, and going out and charging over the barricades in education like he did in Desert Storm, or like he does, for example, even on the abortion issue?
I think he's gotten us up to a pretty good start with the governors jointly. I think the national goals are going to turn out to be real significant in historical perspective, and I think the America 2000 ideas for getting there are a pretty good start. I think the response by an awful lot of the education community, if I can be blunt, has been a kind of a big yawn, which is to say, this too shall pass and nothing will change.
The truth of the matter is that people did not have the courtesy or the respect for educators to involve them in the process of even determining what those goals were going to be. And in
What's
my
happened
city,
now is that 1,500 communities have considered the goals, made them their own. There's a satellite town meeting every month with maybe 1,000 communities involved in it. There's 700 design teams creating break-them-old schools like we saw. So these goals are being adopted by communities who wish to, and it's a remarkable set of events.
it's an interesting process.
Well, this is all about education and grading. Superintendent Clayton, how would you grade American education right now?
In need of improvement.
Mr. Finn?
About a C- with insufficient recognition of the need for improvement.
Secretary Alexander?
If I were taking a snapshot, I'd give it an unsatisfactory and send home a letter to the parents and say you need to get more involved. And if I were giving it a look down the road, I would say I'm encouraged.
Superintendent Clayton, Mr. Finn, Secretary Alexander, thanks very much for being with us. I'll be back with the final word in a moment.
In the kitchen at Ragu, Chef Grinelli just made the chunkiest Ragu sauce taste even better. New Ragu Chunky Garden Style.
Boy, is it chunky.
Chunkier than Prego spaghetti sauce.
3 times chunkier than Prego. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah!
Ragu Chunky Garden Style. 3 times chunkier than Prego.
Extraordinary sauce. I'd do anything for my baby.
Nice car.
Trade you.
Anything for my baby. Hey, that's my car. Baby Ruth.
Alka-Seltzer Plus Sinus Allergy takes on the toughest allergies.
Yard work makes my allergies go crazy. But Alka-Seltzer Plus works great. Even relieves my watery eyes. Good thing. It's a big lawn.
Alka-Seltzer Plus Sinus Allergy. It's tough medicine.
Coming up on the news tonight, part of a massive Delaware Valley relief effort rolls out of town, heading south to help hurricane victims begin to pick up the pieces. A raging 6-alarm fire rips through a northeast Philadelphia warehouse. In sports, the Eagles trim their roster. We'll tell you who's still around. I'm Beverly Williams. The news tonight next.
Dateline Tuesday. Go airborne with a light flight trauma unit as they attempt to rescue a woman fighting for her life.
How you doing in there? Okay?
Meet the real-life heroes who save lives in those desperate minutes before time runs out.
Had he not been transported by this helicopter, I'm sure he would have been dead.
Jane Pauley, Stone Phillips on an all-new Dateline NBC Tuesday.
So much has changed so rapidly in the past 25 years, politics, cultures, economies, technologies, that not even the experts can keep up. Certainly not American education. In too many places, it is locked in a 1950s mindset which cannot prepare anyone for the imminent arrival of the 21st century and breathtaking new challenges that century will bring. For too long now, we have taken our education system for granted, and in so doing, we have failed it more than it has failed us. Change is coming to the American classroom, still too slowly and still too episodically. But change without commitment is not enough. If we want to make the grade as a nation, we all have to, in one fashion or another, get back to the classroom. I'm Tom Brokaw. Good night from all of us at NBC News. The center is a center of activity, learning, playing, and support for the whole Leadville, Colorado community.
70% of the students in the Academy of Music don't major in performing arts or fine arts in college, but for them it's a motivational tool to assist them to get into college. It's a reason to come every day. It's a reason to do better in the classes.
Stage is yours.
Did you run out of water again?
I had to wash some clothes for your father. Look what this child has learned.
By listening to others in the class.
Look how this child has grown.
She brings out the you.
We must be on the right track.
Ah.
A special Sunday.